Welcome back, everyone, to the special series I'm thrilled to be hosting on LinkedIn called The Entrepreneur's Chair. Throughout this series, my goal is to provide you with authentic and intimate conversations with trailblazing leaders that are reshaping the Austin business scene. From startup founders to established business moguls, we'll dive deep into the challenges, the opportunities, the pivotal moments that have shaped who they are as an entrepreneur. I am thrilled to have with us today Beth San Segundo. Beth San Segundo's journey from cleanroom technician to CEO of OriGen Biomedical embodies dedication, innovation, and leadership. With over 27 years of experience in medical device manufacturing, Beth has played a pivotal role in advancing cell and gene therapy solutions. OriGen Biomedical is a leading producer of cryopreservation and cell culture products, with a focus on manufacturing devices to support the treatment of cancer, genetic conditions, and other life-threatening diseases. Under her leadership, OriGen has achieved significant growth, earning recognition in the Inc. 5000 list, and is a Greater Austin top workplace in 2023 and 2024. Beth has been recognized on the Women Presidents Organization Women to Watch list, as well as being named a finalist for multiple awards, including facilitates the Women in Advanced Therapies Week 2024, Ernst & Young's Entrepreneur of the Year 2024 Gulf South, and Austin Regional Manufacturers Association 2024 Executive of the Year. Welcome, Beth.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I'm just honored to be here. I've just been looking forward to this conversation. Your story is fascinating. The fact that you started at OriGen Biomedical as a clean room technician at 18 years old.
I know, as a baby.
Just yesterday. And today you lead the company as the CEO. So what were some of the pivotal moments along that journey that basically shaped your path from working on the lab floor to being in the C-suite?
For sure. So I sometimes jokingly say that I was born for it. My father founded the company back in the 90s. We manufactured a series of products for ECMO, which is extracorporeal membrane oxygenation. It's used for perfusion of the patient while their lungs rest. So that was the start of the company, and it's a small niche product that is sold globally. And then I joined the company in 2001. Sorry, thinking back on my timeline a little bit. Joined the company back in 2001, and at that point, we had a cell culture product. We added a cryopreservation product in 2003, and at that point, there were 5 of us that worked for the company.
Wow.
Yeah, we were huge. So there were about 5 of us. And so from there, it became a lot of opportunity and a lot of ability to take advantage of a lot of possibilities with where we could sell the product, where we could go, and what we could do. So I took over from my dad 6 years ago, 2019, just before COVID. I know, it was great. It was the best. So I took over in 2019 when he retired, but we had worked side by side for a long time. He founded the company in 1997, and I have worked for him since 2001. And so in that journey, I did work in the clean rooms, and I did build ECMO catheters in the clean rooms during college and after college, and then took over in lots of roles. And when you're a company of 5 people, everyone does everything, literally everything. And so we learned how to work together. I learned how to work for my dad as an employee and not as a daughter, which was really an interesting, it's been an interesting journey to work for your dad, but have him be both dad and boss for a very long time. So he had a lot of, he is a mechanical engineer by training.
Okay.
And so ultimately he took a lot of his designs and created a lot of products, and then I marketed them across the globe. And so when I took over the director of marketing position prior to his retirement a few years before he retired, it really became a how do I grow this company even more and even bigger? He and I had a few conversations about me taking over, and so he'd set some expectations, and from there I met those expectations, and then I took over. So since 2019, I've had COVID, I've had supply chain, now I have tariffs, and it just doesn't end. And so it's a lot of figuring out what hat to wear when. And so I love it. I love thinking. I love problem solving. I love thinking through how do we get to the next thing? How do we do that? And it's been really good.
Yeah, it seems like a couple of things you talked about. One, there's very few successful transitions of family businesses, right? It's not an easy thing to do.
It was not easy. And truthfully, I think for both of us, COVID saved us. Entertainingly or terrifyingly, depending on your day. When he retired, he set up a desk next to mine in the office. Oh my gosh.
Maybe not the best transition.
He was like, I'll just sit in the corner. I'm like, I don't think so. But he did. He sat in the corner for a few months until I finally had to kindly remove him from the office, which was a challenge because really, like, he'd run the company. You know, he founded the company. He ran the company. There was a lot of allegiance to his way of doing things. And now it was, how do I step into this space respecting the things my dad has created,
right,
but making it my own. And so it was some days it was a dumpster fire, but often it was great. Once I got him out of my office, and it was my office at that point,
right.
Things started to shift a little bit. And then when COVID happened, he was like, I'm just going to be working from home. And so that really founded or firmly kind of drug the line, if you will, in terms of where I was able to fully take the reins outside of his guidance, shadow. I'm not quite sure what the word is, but yeah.
But and it's so hard because it's like the identity wrapped up in running the business, and then having okay, I do want it to transition, but then what's that timeline look like? So, I think everybody navigates that a little bit different. Than the more planning, the better of what that looks like in the timelines.
I think, and I am a person who learns by watching others. I don't have to make the mistakes. I can watch other people's journeys and make those choices, which I think might be my superpower. And so one of the things I learned in watching my dad's succession to me was figuring out and thinking through, how do I want to do that when it's my turn? What does that actually look like? And what steps do I need to have in place when that becomes me? And so it's just been a really nice thing to think about in terms of succession planning.
That's great.
At the time that I'm ready to do that. I'm not there yet.
I hope not. Love you in the leadership role. We need as many women leaders out there as possible.
Absolutely.
So OriGen work, you have a significant impact on the lives of people. They're battling cancer, life-threatening diseases. I shared in the beginning, okay, this is what the company does. Talk a little bit about what the products do for those that you serve.
Absolutely. So for non-science people, I make Tupperware for stem cells.
I love that.
For science people, I make single-use disposables for cell and gene therapy. And what that translates to is I make containers for processing and cryopreservation of stem cells. So these are the cells that are found in your bone marrow or umbilical cord blood, depending on how that collection is made. So OriGen participates in leukemia lymphoma therapies. And the way that we do that is the bone marrow is collected from a patient. And then depending on the type of cancer they have, they either will get those cells back or they will get cells from someone else. So there's two different transplants for non-genetically modified cells. those are considered your standard stem cell transplant or therapy. And so that's the introduction that OriGen had into the market, was your autologous allogeneic stem cell therapy transplant to treat leukemia, lymphoma, depending on the diagnosis. What has happened in the last 6 years is there is a emerging technologies. It feels like they're still emerging. There's 1 million clinical trials. There's actually about 1,000 clinical trials still out there trying to cure cancers. But what scientists have discovered, and it's actually out of the UPenn, it's Carl June's lab, what he figured out, and then his team made amazing, is they can take the T cells of a patient with ALL, genetically modify it to identify their cancer, grow them to 1 billion, immunodeplete the patient so that their immune system is gone, and then give them these cells back and eradicate their cancer. So these therapies ultimately put people into what's called durable remission. Okay. And so they will remain in remission for a year or 2, or in some cases, like one of the first patients to get the ALL CAR T therapy, she got it when she was 6 and now she's 20. So she's been in durable remission for a very long time, which is awesome.
That is so impressive.
And so, really the technologies behind this and trying to figure out how to create durable remissions for patients who relapsed multiple times and had their cancer come back again and again, it's life-changing. And it's really impactful to all of my team to be a part of that. And so to recognize that there's a real person at the end of the plastic thing on the table in front of you.
And you manufacture, I would say, an incredibly clean room environment.
Yeah, we have, we manufacture in clean room spaces. Everything is to ISO standards, and all of the processes and procedures that we have in place sustain that, and we monitor it weekly, monthly, daily, depending on the task.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And, it's an amazing mission you have. And so how do you see that impacting your day-to-day leadership and decision-making?
So our quality statement is do the right thing. And so the right thing isn't always the easy thing, and the right thing isn't always obvious. And so within the day-to-day and the decisions that I make as the CEO versus the decisions that a clean room tech makes building products in our clean room spaces, we expect everyone to continue to do that. Mm-hmm. Within our mission, we have patients come in and tell their stories who've received products in our bags. We have videos that exist out on YouTube that we share with the team, just as a reminder that there's very real people for what we do. Our mission statement is we manufacture innovative medical products that improve people's lives. And having real world evidence, real world stories of people who have been impacted by what we do, I feel like that's highly motivating to all of us.
Yeah, people, having a purpose.
For sure.
Right, why you actually exist, and yours is incredible.
Thanks.
So you talked about 5 people. You even started before that when there were 3 people.
I did.
And now you've grown to an award-winning organization, been on the Inc. 5000, mm-hmm. named Top Workplace. Those are amazing accomplishments. So when you think about leadership lessons and scaling, and from both a culture and innovation perspective, what can you share?
Ooh, I think for me, it's to be authentic, be who you are. And really, we are not who we were when we were 5 people. Like, your culture for 5 people is not your culture for 200 people. It just cannot, it's not sustainable, and it's not authentic if you don't change. And so what we have done at our current scale is we actually have a committee that continues to, they meet monthly. So we have a committee that meets monthly, and they actually take our mission and create things each month to remind the team of who we are. So some of that is, this is Pride Month. And so some of it is recognizing the people who work for us that impacts, and recognizing how we love those people. And last month was Cancer Survivor Awareness Month. And so again, recognizing how we love those people and how we, impact their lives. And so I think part of our culture is creating spaces within the busyness that is doing our job and making products that really get out the door and improve people's lives, but recognizing we're a whole person who comes with all of the background of who we are.
That sounds like just the definition of a purpose-driven company.
Thanks.
I love hearing that. So you talked a little bit about being tested pretty heavy over the past years. So what strategies or mindsets have you taken advantage of to stay grounded and focused during these turbulent times?
It's just pushing through. It's grit. Sometimes it's just grit. Sometimes it's just like kind of going back to doing the right thing is not always the easy thing. And sometimes you have to have the hard conversations, recognizing you won't win everything, but you'll do it as well as you can and get it as right as you can, as often as you can. And just kind of pushing through and perseverance. I like to say I'm resilient, but you don't become resilient without having to be resilient. And I think the tools that I use to do that are, some of it's mental, reminding myself that my team is great. My team is really good at problem solving. During COVID, when no one could get masks and I had a clean room and we were essential, and how do you stay open? But we didn't have masks. I mean, we have at that point we didn't. And so we got creative. How do we make people feel safe in a clean room space where they cannot maintain social distancing because they cannot be 6 feet apart from each other? But the other side of that is air handling in a clean room is very different. And so we did a lot of education with the clean room around what air handling is doing in terms of turning the air over and cleaning it. And it does it very often. We had 0 COVID transmissions take place in the clean room. All of the contact tracing that we did for our employees during that time, there was nothing that happened in the clean room. But again, it's sort of that resilience of how do you create a safe space where people feel safe, because no one felt safe during COVID. We had a lot of we brought in counselors. We reminded everybody about the EAP that exists, and just really, again, remembering like you're going home to who knows what. All of you have something you have to deal with, and all of us have children who are now home all the time. And so just thinking through, how are you a whole person? And so one of the ways that we were able to keep people and retain them and keep them on board was by being patient, understanding, but also providing them a safe space to voice their concerns and then get to work. And so sort of a balance of all of that. But then for me personally, a lot of soundboards off of really smart people, reaching out to my network of who's solved this problem before, because part of it is I'm not the only CEO in the world. I'm not the only person who's handling these things at this time. And how do I learn? Who can I learn from, and how do I learn from them? And how do I get better at this? And so there was quite a bit of that as well, which was great.
And you talked a little bit about family, knowing people are going to home with the family. How does a family part energize you with what you do?
I think your family is intricately a part of who you are as a person. For good or for bad, they are absolutely what made you who you are today. But then also we all have a life outside of our job. We're at our job for 40 plus hours, depending on the role. And ultimately, there are people that we've chosen to spend our life with or raise or otherwise, maybe both, I don't know. And so, I think family is an integral part of who each person is. And so I want to be accommodating of the fact that everyone has something happening outside of the office. And often that is family.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes a lot of sense. And part of that is being authentic about, you said that earlier. And so realizing that people have stuff going on and managing through that and being appreciative. I just love that.
And I think, part of it's because we're a family run organization. And so because I worked for my dad, and though I never called him dad at work, I could walk into his office and be like, hey, can I talk to my dad right now? And we would have that conversation as a father, as opposed to a boss. And I think that experience extends to me, to my team, of like, I recognize we're whole people. I recognize life exists outside of OriGen, and it's not always great.
I like that visualization. I come across that a lot with the clients I work with, where people wear multiple hats, right? And sometimes you are the owner, and sometimes you are a member of the leadership team.
Right.
And I think, and sometimes you're mom, right? So the clarity of what hat, sometimes people mix them.
Yes.
And I think that's when people get confused.
I agree. I think, and so I definitely think there's a space for that. The way that I controlled for that in my time with my dad was I didn't call him dad at the office.
Sure.
To the point that, so his name's Richard Martin. I got married. I'm Beth San Segundo. And so these are our names. And so we would go to trade shows with our whatever, but he's my dad. And so the boundaries with your dad are just different than the boundaries with your boss. And so one day, this guy from another company who we've known for like 5 or 6 years comes up to me and goes, "Richard is your father?" And I was like, yes, he is. And it was just one of those, like, I forgot that, like, we don't have the same name, so it doesn't all tie together. But it was very, like, he felt like he'd won a coup, and I was like, "You totally did. Yes, he's my dad. We're not hiding that."
Oh my goodness, I love that story.
Yeah.
So you grew up at the company, basically,
I did.
right? And thinking about how that influenced your view of innovation, both from product development, and I'm sure you're always looking at evolving the business model. And you were talking a little bit earlier about how quickly things are evolving. So how do you actually address that and stay ahead of the curve?
Yeah, it's a good question. So in terms of innovation and evolving, we are consistently surveying customers, asking opinions, seeing what's working, what's not working. We do a lot of specialization for customers that tends to be a better fit for most customers, because often out of the box solutions aren't so great. Mm-hmm. But then we'll also, to the other side of that, do all of the regulatory work to ensure that those products are a medical device in all of the geographies to which that customer wants to sell those products. So it's a big ask, but mm-hmm. it's a big reward, which has worked out really well for us. In terms of staying ahead, I mean, a lot of it's kind of your it feels like your standard strategy, but I think that's part of my blind spot, if you will, because I grew up in the company, because this is what I know. I'm like, this is what I know, so this is the strategy I do. So I have a consistent 5-year plan. I have a consistent 5-year of where we're going and what's next and what we're doing. And then within that space, how do we actuate on the automation initiatives, the growth initiatives, right, the new things, like how do we actuate on all of that? And so really it's tying into that plan and the objectives that are set to that plan.
And it sounds like you have to keep abreast of all of the things developing in your segment.
Absolutely. And so, that's multifaceted, of course. And so really it's just, what are our customers up to? Who's about to, get their drug approvals? who's opening new avenues and new areas of use of cryopreservation of cells, and so really just keeping up with who's doing what.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So I like to ask 2 questions of every entrepreneur that I have the honor to talk to, and one is, what do you think authentically makes a successful entrepreneur?
Authentically makes a successful entrepreneur. I think it's knowing who you are. I think it's knowing who you are and who you want to be, and like moving in those directions consistently. Because the second you aren't authentically you, you've lost the plot. People don't believe you. You've lost your ability to lead because you've effectively changed course. And so it's not that, it isn't that you can't change course. It's that you have to authentically do it. You have to come to someone and say, hey, we tried this. It really sucked. We need to now do this. And here's why. And have that conversation. So
with transparency also, which is, it seems like you share the reason why if there's a decision change. And
almost always.
Yeah.
And then I let my team decide what is filtered down, because sometimes too much information creates trouble. And so we share everything. I mean, the day I bought my building, we had an all employee, and I told every employee, we bought a building, here's where it is, and here's the plan. And I don't know a lot of things, because I got asked, well, when are we moving? I'm like, I don't know, but it's not today. And you will know when it is.
There's a little regulation to get through to open that
First,
new
I have
facility.
to build clean rooms, guys. Yeah. First clean rooms, then certification, and then auditing, and then moving.
So how do you define success as an entrepreneur?
Gosh, I mean, I think it comes in a lot of ways. It felt, so as you listed off the accolades from last year, that felt a lot like success. So recognition for the, time and attention spent to building OriGen and making it great. That felt like success. I don't have those same accolades this year yet. So I think really it's knowing your mission, knowing you're driving your mission, knowing that at the end of the day, your customers are saving people's lives. And really, like, that's what we do. Like, we save people's lives, which is amazing.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Beth. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for, taking this company forward and for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.